law is a little unclear, and the job of the judge is to decide who has the better argument, right? Who has the better understanding of the law. And the judge looks at the briefs and he decides what the law means. Well, in 1984, the Supreme Court said in a case called Chevron that when that lawsuit involves a government agency, that like normal common sense approach doesn't apply. And instead, if the law is unclear or ambiguous or silent even, the judge is supposed to put aside his constitutional role and defer to the agency's, the executive branch's interpretation of the law as long as it's reasonable. Over 40 years, that led to agencies, federal agencies, basically being able to get away with growing their power and passing increasingly, restrictive regulation, burdensome regulation. It distorted our whole constitutional order. It's a bit of a generalization, but I think it's very true that when the founders and the framers wrote our Constitution, they envisioned that each of the branches of government was going to have its own unique role, and that they're not supposed to, impede on the other branches' function. The job of the courts is supposed to be to tell us what the law means, and the president and the executive branch is just supposed to implement. That whole separation of powers got distorted by Chevron deference. Last year, I'm with AFP. I'm also with a group called Cause of Action Institute. We represented some fishermen, and we won at the Supreme Court to overturn this doctrine and to restore to courts what their proper role under the Constitution is supposed to be, to interpret the law, and that the unfair advantage that was given to the executive branch is no longer a part of our system.
Wow. Now, there's a two-part question where, as I said, we're watching the Biden administration push through 11th hour rules and regulations, and I believe, to sabotage Trump, obviously. How does the way, two-part here for you, Ryan, how does the way Congress currently does business allow an administration to abuse their power this way? And number two, can President Trump and his administration undo all the damage that Biden is doing right now?
Yeah, so, it's very interesting that one of the most important parts of the Loper-Bright decision, that case that overturned Chevron last year, one of the most important parts is the Supreme Court not only gave back to judges their proper role, but they invited Congress to take back its own power and to do what the founders envisioned the legislature would be doing under Article 1. So one thing that Congress could be doing is being more careful about the sorts of power they delegate to executive branch agencies and how they do it. Congress needs to do a better job at legislating, and for that matter, states need to do a better job at making sure that Congress doesn't take power from them. So the Loper-Bright decision opens a door into seeing all of that go back to the way that the founders wanted.
Wow.
Congress also has tools to check the sort of last-minute regulations that the Biden administration is going to pass between. It's already doing that, as you said, and I think we'll see even more between now and the next week or so. The Congressional Review Act. There are tools. Some of them can be improved, and we can talk about that. But there are tools for Congress, empowered, by the support of the incoming Trump administration, to tell agencies, no, we're going to undo what you've just done. That's not the way things are supposed to work, and we need to cut back on regulation because the American people are hurting.